Hi there, I'm Drew Badger, the world's #1 English fluency guide, and it is a pleasure to welcome you to another advanced listening practice lesson. In this video, I just wanted to talk about something I've been thinking about recently, and that is teaching my daughter. So helping my daughter learn English as well as a little bit of Japanese. Aria is now about a year and 3 months almost, but she's learning very quickly and she's picking up English as well as Japanese and can understand fairly long and complex things like, please go over there and get me a book, something like that. But in thinking about helping her learn, I've talked about this a couple of times already on the channel and how I'm explaining to her kind of two different ways in which I'm teaching. So the first one is where I'm speaking kind of like this, and I'm getting her used to the sound and the flow of the English language itself. So blah, 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 blah. I'm really just getting her to understand the way the language sounds, and so she can develop an understanding of whether something is a question or a statement, or if I'm in a good mood or a bad mood, just by the sound of my voice. So we kind of move, when you're teaching children from a larger area like this, or kind of more general or broad understanding of the language, down to things like grammar and individual words. So we're at that level for this kind of half of the teaching. And the other half of the teaching is a very specific vocabulary where I say cat and blue cat or yellow cat and things like that. But the other thing I wanted to mention that I haven't really talked about so much is the importance of emotion when you're teaching someone or whether you're trying to learn by yourself. And this can be divided into two different areas concerned with language learning. The first one is, how do you feel when you're actually learning the language, and then how do you feel as far as your motivation to continue learning something? Because fluency is a journey that does take a while, and especially if you've been on that journey for a while, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So, like I had maybe recently, or even actually like a week ago, so I was with my daughter and she was learning how to just put her hat on by herself. So she was experimenting with things and she puts the hat on, and my wife and I get very excited about that and say, yay, fantastic, you put the hat on. And then Aria smiles and she recognizes she's done something positive that, you know, we are rewarding her for with our excitement. And so she tries doing it again and she gets used to doing that thing. So the part of kind of the reward of doing something, the emotional way that she feels after she's learned the lesson or after she's tried something and succeeded from that thing, and we praise her in the same way, whether she, you know, succeeds at putting the hat on or if she almost does it or doesn't quite do it. All of those things, because we're not necessarily rewarding the effort that she's making, or I guess we're rewarding the effort, not necessarily like the fact that she like successfully put the hat on. So we're just really excited about the fact that she's continuing to try and is making the effort to do something. But how she feels about that is really important, because if she puts something on, and you probably notice this about children as they get older, and they continue to say like, mommy, watch me, daddy, watch me. So they're looking for your attention and they're looking to do something, so that they can still get that same feeling of, yes, like my parents are happy about me doing things that I want to do. So, you know, the more you can continue to do this, especially if you are a parent of slightly older children, you know, like a 13-year-old, maybe they don't care as much about that for a particular thing, like, you know, jumping up in the air or standing on their hands or something like that. You know, they obviously care about, like, did you get into a good college or things like that. But the important thing is the emotional response that you're giving the children, as well as the emotional response that you give yourself. And the other half of that, we'll kind of come back to this emotional response part after receiving the lesson and how you feel about that for motivation. But the other part of this is actually, how do you feel as you're in the learning process? Now, if you look at the differences between the way that children learn in a native environment versus the way people would learn, whether children or adults in a school environment, it's vastly different. They're actually the exact opposite approach to language learning. One is a complete language learning method that helps you understand and automatically become a fluent speaker, and the other is an incomplete method that teaches you how to do things like reading and writing so that you can pass tests, but it doesn't really help you speak. And there are a number of reasons why that happens, mostly because, you know, people just don't have the resources to work individually with students and really help them become great speakers. So it becomes much more of a personal journey for people when they want to become fluent, especially as adult learners. Anyway, the way that students are responding emotionally to the lesson itself is really important. So if you're sitting in a classroom and you're feeling very bored about something, it's not exciting to you, then you actually learn less. So when you're learning in a native way, you're outside, maybe you're exploring the world. So I take my daughter to the park and we look at things and I explain things and we get her excited and she's actually absorbing that information a lot more. So when you're thinking about learning things for yourself, the emotional content that you have, or you should be having a strong, or as strong as possible, an emotional connection to the things you're learning with. Because if you don't, you're not going to remember it as well. Now, this is the reason why that if you take a list of things, like we're going to have a list of things like candle and bird and table and box and camera and other things like that, if I just give you a list of these things as if I'm going to put them into like a spreadsheet on a computer, a spreadsheet on a computer is able to be remembered by that computer really easily because that's what a computer does. A computer remembers information in this way, and it doesn't really matter how the information is there. You can type whatever you want to, and the information is stored that way. But the human mind doesn't work that way. We have to use stories and emotion in order to connect with what we're hearing, because anything else just kind of goes off our head or in one ear and out the other. Is another great native expression you can use when you're like teaching children, or you hear something but you don't remember it. It goes in one ear and then out the other, in one ear and out the other. So take care when you're thinking about the way that you're learning, and also the way that you're praising yourself for having made like a particular step up in the way you're learning, or if you've remembered something. Be really mindful about that and how you praise yourself about that fact. So as an example, what did I do? So I was like doing some kind of exercising. I was in the pool and I was doing some exercising lately, and I decided to just like arbitrarily, and this is a great word, arbitrarily just means like really without any particular reason, you're just deciding to do something. So arbitrarily, I decided to add some extra repetitions to what I was doing, just for the sake of having the extra challenge there. So I'll be like walking back and forth across the pool, the length of the pool. It's kind of a shallow area where I train because I'm exercising my leg muscles. And so I'm in the pool and I'm walking and I think, okay, I'm kind of tired, but let me just do a little bit more anyway. Now, as soon as I finish doing that, I reward myself with like a great job, Drew. That was a really great thing that you did there. You tried to make a little bit of an extra effort, and it doesn't matter how much of an extra effort you make, but the point is that you're doing something, you're adding something that's better, and you're improving yourself in some way, and that you take a moment after you've completed the lesson or after you've done the task like I had in the pool, and you congratulate yourself about that. So while you're learning, it should be fun, it should be exciting, it should be interesting to you, but also when you're finished with the lesson, whether you're helping, again, somebody else learn or you're trying to improve your own learning, remind yourself that it's a great thing that you're actually sitting there, even if you like maybe had like a strong challenge and you didn't quite accomplish it, and it was really frustrating. Reward yourself for the effort that you're putting in to improve. The effort is really the most important thing, and that's the thing that's going to convince you to kind of stay motivated and actually want to get fluent. So if you praise yourself and think like, oh, I'm a stupid learner because I didn't, figure out this problem after 3 hours, or I forgot this word again after doing something, you're going to convince yourself or tell yourself that you're not qualified to learn a language. You're not qualified to do whatever else it is you're trying to do. So if you think about, okay, the effort is the important thing here, and I definitely made a strong effort and I learned something from that, and I will continue to push forward so I can be happy and congratulate myself about that. That's the thing that's going to continue to push you forward. So whether you're helping someone else learn or just learning by yourself, remember to think about the emotional component of how you're learning, and it will help you get fluent much faster. Well, that's the end of this lesson. If you have enjoyed it or you have any questions, do click that like button and put a comment down below. And I look forward to welcoming you as a subscriber to the channel if you are not already, so do subscribe. And I will look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye-bye. To continue learning, click on the link in this video to download Speak English Naturally, our free guide to speaking and sounding like a native English speaker. The guide reveals the 3 most important kinds of conversational English you must learn if you want to sound native, and will help you experience instant improvement in your fluency and speaking confidence. To download your free guide on a mobile device, click on the link in the upper right of this video. To download your free guide from a computer, click on the link in the lower right of this video. I look forward to seeing you in the guide.